Welcome to Connected, the podcast for entrepreneurs and executives who know a thing or two about networking. So welcome to the podcast, Connected Podcast. You know, a podcast for entrepreneurs who know a little bit about networking. And so I want to introduce my guest today, Shataneses Reese, who's a human resource, a longtime human resource consultant and everything human resources. And, wanted to, kind of talk to you a little bit because I believe now that you've kind of left corporate and started your own human resource consultancy. Tell me a little bit about that decision to step out there and how you were able to make that happen.
Well, first of all, Ray, thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm excited to be here. And I, really appreciate what you're doing in terms of the books that you've written and, what you've been trying to do in terms of, help people get connected and to leverage their ability to just look at who's within their sphere of influence. So I'll tell you, I'll never forget. I remember standing in my office window, it was like a bay window overlooking Atlanta traffic. And I thought, there's got to be something more. There has to be something more to life, to what I'm doing. Yes, I've had at that point a really successful human resources career and had a wide variety of roles in terms of talent acquisition, diversity consultant, HR generalist. So, was able to cut my teeth in a wide variety of areas within HR. And I actually underwent double mastectomy because I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like a life-altering event that will, number one, bring you to your knees. And number two, just kind of cause you to question, am I really doing what I need to be doing? What's my purpose? Clearly, there's a reason why I'm still here. And so am I really living up to my potential and my raison d'etre, my reason for being, essentially. And so I launched out. I'm a woman of faith, and so I prayed, and of course, I had to make sure that my husband was on board and fully supported. And I took that leap, and I like to describe it as pulling myself from the matrix, because I don't know about you, Ray, but for me, it was, really the 9 to 5, the hustle and bustle, go, and, helping other organizations essentially achieve their dreams, and nothing against those types of roles. Nothing, that's how we as America, we built on, people working together and collaboratively. But I decided, I want to have a little bit more control over what I'm doing. And there were various aspects of human resources that I really, truly enjoyed, which are the coaching and the facilitating. And so I wanted to be able to become laser focused on those aspects. And so I started at the time, and you'll probably giggle at this, maybe not giggle, you'll chuckle. At the time, it was called Super Extraordinary Mom, LLC, because I had started a blog and had decided I can't be alone in terms of my desire to manage a career and a successful career, build it, and also, be present with my family. And so I had written various articles about leveraging that and being able to be a parent while managing a career. It wasn't until a couple years after being in existence, and I realized that I was having to explain too often in terms of Super Extraordinary Mom. So are you helping moms? What are you doing? That I underwent rebranding, and I became Shataneses Reese. So there's a YouTube video out there of me becoming, and it was right around the time that Michelle Obama released her book, Becoming. So it was perfect in terms of marketing and coining that phrase. But I became Shataneses Reese, LLC. And so when teams have issues with connecting with each other, I come in and I help with that. And my sweet spot, of course, are mid to small to mid-sized businesses, and also dealing with diversity, equity, inclusion, and leadership development. So I explained to someone recently, they said, well, so do you like to create content? I said that I can, but I really enjoy being able to come in and facilitate existing content because it allows me to tap into my undergrad degree, which is theater. You have to say it that way. So be able to pick up a script and come on in and execute. Love that. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, that is awesome. So I guess the biggest issue when people take that leap is finding clients, right? So what were some strategies you used to find your first client?
Well, Ray, really, truly looking at my network. And it's so important to be mindful of those bridges. I'm sure you've talked to clients or talked to individuals about not burning bridges. But the reality is sometimes there are burned bridges. And so if you're looking at your network, think about a net, really, and you're trying to cast it out far and wide. So as you look over your net, are there patches where, a little bit of fire, caught on fire and that just kind of sizzled out? Don't spend a lot of time focusing on those areas where, for whatever reason, the door slammed and you had to move quickly, not let the door hit you on your way out, but focus on those relationships that are still intact and the ones that you actually are maintaining. I don't know about you, but sometimes getting those cold calls via LinkedIn, those cold messages are not always my favorite. I like to, can we warm up a little bit? Can we, establish some type of a relationship, at least initially, as opposed to just jumping right in and saying, this is what I need from you. And also, going back to being a woman of faith, I also prayed. And so I said, okay, put the right people in my path. And I really had to be discerning. So whomever I met, it wasn't all about what I could get from them. What could we do in terms of collaboration and synergy? And because you never know, you could meet someone, 2 to 3 years ago, and now the opportunity, or they've landed this large project. So initially it was, okay, let's see, where we are in terms of our immediate circles, and then going out those concentric circles and spreading the word and saying, hey, I'm out here now. And if you know of anyone, please, keep me in mind. So there's a lot of that in the beginning. And you'll find, and for any of your listeners who are thinking about it or trying to ponder, and they're on the edge, trying to decide, should I just take that leap? You'll find that there are so many people who want to support you, either because they're wanting to do that themselves, or they have done it and they know how difficult it is. And so as long as you are willing to share and talk, because you are your brand, you are your brand ambassador. So you have to be able to, talk about what you're doing and what you want to do on a regular basis. So that was what I did initially.
That's amazing. It looks like it's working for you. So that's so awesome. I'm a big fan of networking, and because I believe everything comes through who you know, right? Everything that you have in your life comes through people. Even to your point about being of faith, is God works through people. And so if you don't know how to work with people and accept generosity and be generous and know how to be empathic, then a lot of gifts that you would have gotten, you'll miss trying to do it all yourself. So that's really a blessing hearing you say that, you were able to reach out to your network and, kind of cross the bridges that you had made already, remembering to burn them. And I think that is awesome advice. So what are you working on now? What's any cool projects or content that you're putting out that you want to tell our audience about?
Yeah, so I actually have this financial workshop. I'm working with a colleague by the name of Marcus Young. And what we decided to do, Ray, was actually pull together emotional intelligence and financial education. Oftentimes, the decisions that we make regarding our finances are steeped in long history of things that occurred while we were children, and the patterns that we saw in terms of our parents or lack thereof. And so as we have, grown up and matured, we begin to shape and have our own perception about finances, financial wealth, and education. And so Marcus and I were partnering together to bring in the emotional intelligence, because I'm a certified emotional intelligence coach and he is a financial advisor. So we're offering a 2-part series so that you can first figure out who you are. Let's start there. I think that it's so important to know who you are, where you are. How did you come about in terms of your just your ideology and philosophy on life and finances, and what's your marinade? Where did that come from? And then moving forward, okay, so this is where I am. This is where I want to be. I want to leave a legacy. I want to be financially free. I want to be debt free, and really defining what exactly does that mean? What does that look like? And how do you get there? Something else in terms of content that I've been putting out there and working with clients is the intersectionality of emotional intelligence and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And once again, I think that we will struggle to try to understand others and to place ourselves in others' shoes if we don't first understand who we are. And again, why we're doing what we're doing, why we respond in ways that we do, how we're showing up with individuals, whether that's personally and or professionally. And so being able to let's unpack that. Let's spend a little bit of time there, and then move into, okay, what exactly is diversity? What is equity, inclusion? How does that play out in the workforce? And how can you, now that you're fully aware, how can you impact positively your culture in your workplace? So those are the 2 major things that I have going on right now.
I love that, but I'm going to unpack something. I don't know if this is intentional, if you have any program around this, but I love this. If you don't, you need something. What's your marinade? I think, the core of connecting is first understanding yourself. And, quite often we kind of we move through life with this mask on. We move through life with these internal belief systems and filters that block us from connecting with people. It blocks us from being authentic. And because we never spend any time understanding what's our marinade. And sometimes, it doesn't have to be as deep as going into therapy. I'm a fan of therapy. I think everybody should have it. However, there's some things you can do on your own just to understand and sit. Sometimes it's painful. I think people don't want to sit. They don't want to think about it. It's easy just to blame somebody else, my mom and them, my dad and them. Exactly. It's easy to point fingers at that teacher who, failed you in 9th grade and now you just messed your whole life up.
Right.
We're guilty of that. So, but we don't take time to understand our culpability, or not even if it's I'm not even trying to say it's your fault, but it does affect you. And
Absolutely.
If you don't understand how it affects you, you don't take that time, do that work, you keep making the same mistakes, same circle, ending up at the same place, wondering how you got back here again. And so your statement about your marinade, I think, is so precious. And maybe you can explain a little bit more about that if you have some content around it, if you've given this some thought.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. And I'll share with you that the whole concept, or I was first introduced to the concept or the term of marinade when my husband and I went through Radical Love, which was offered at our church. And so it was premarital counseling. And even after marriage, after the wedding ceremony, you could come in and go through Radical Love. It's a 12 to 15 week program. At any rate, we talk about in those sessions understanding what's your marinades. If you think about, for all my cooks who are in the audience, you're marinating a piece of meat or a piece of vegetables, whatever the case may be, and you're putting seasonings and sauces and all of those things and ingredients to impact, influence that fish, that meat. And so that it starts off raw, but then it comes out and it's different, right? It has a different taste and possibly even a different texture because of everything that was put in to it in order to impact it. That's what happens to us when we're in families. We receive information, inputs from our parents, from other individuals. So around, in terms of my circle, we talk a lot about, who did you see growing up that actually exhibited a healthy, positive relationship? How is it? How are we set up for success, in terms of marriage? I think we as just people, we look at what we see out in social media or in movies, and it's dramatized and, just the fantasy of it all. But marriage is hard work. It is not for punks. That's my philosophy. Marriage is not for punks. If you're wanting to do it in a way where you're really trying to look at the other person and kind of minimize yourself to a certain degree. So, Ray, we spend so much time going, right? We're trying to hurry up and grow up. And then once we're grown up, we're trying to hurry up and get a job. We're trying to get that house. We're trying to get that relationship. We're just trying to do. So to your point earlier, when do we ever just stop and reflect and say, okay, so that didn't work. And why? Why did it not work? So I, certainly agree with you in terms of you may not necessarily need professional counseling in order to, kind of help unpack, but it sure helps because sometimes we're so close to our stuff that we can't see it. We're that saying, you're so close to the trees that you can't see the forest. So we need someone to say, okay, give me your hand. Let me pull you up out of that muck that you're in and step over here and look at it from this perspective. And so then that's when the aha goes on. Like, I never thought of it that way. Oh, that's why I respond in that way. That's why I do that. So the same, not just for marriages, but just in relationships as a whole, or when we're at work and we're responding in a certain way. I often tell my clients to think about, okay, out of all of the emotions that are at your disposal, why that one? Why did you choose to respond in that way? Let's talk about that. Let's unpack that. Let's go back and see, was it a previous supervisor? Was it a situation that occurred between you and another colleague? We have these triggers, and I also think that sometimes we're walking around wounded and don't even realize it. So we're bumping into each other. There was a movie a while ago, I'm dating myself. It's been some decades, Crash. I don't know if you remember it, but it's essentially we're longing for the opportunity to connect with others, and we're doing it in such a way that it's explosive because sometimes we just don't know how and don't understand why. But at the end of the day, we're all connected in some way, and it's just a matter of understanding, how can I show up as my best self? And so those are the types of conversations I like to have with my clients when I'm coaching them.
That is so awesome. Cool. So here's a question. It's a bit of a trick question.
Okay.
What is it that you wish people knew about you?
That is a trick question, Ray. That I give, so you said wish. I think as soon as individuals encounter me, they'll sense my passion and my desire to see others succeed. That's essentially my mantra in terms of my firm, helping others find the extraordinary in everyday moments, that you don't have to wait for those big aha, we're going to wait and go to Dubai or Paris or, whatever, that there are extraordinary moments every day. You just have to look for them. So I was going to say, that I wish people would know that I give 110%, but I think once they encounter me, they know that really quickly. And so on the other side of just pure, on the basis of the question, I wish people would know that I like chocolate chip cookies.
Nice. Oh, nice. That's what I was looking for. Chocolate chip cookie. Nice. Love it. I love it. Cool. This has been so good, Shatanese. So tell everybody how we can get in contact with you. If you have any specials, any programs, anything that you just want people to know, you want to leave some folks with a little bit of wisdom, but definitely tell folks how to get in contact with you if they want to engage further and enroll in one of your programs.
Thank you. It's very simple. I kept it pretty consistent, Shataneses Reese. And so if you Google Shataneses Reese, you'll see my website. You'll see that I'm on Facebook in terms of my business persona. I'm on Instagram. I've been working diligently to grow that audience. I'm also on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. So again, if you just type in Shataneses Reese, I'm on LinkedIn. If you can't find me, then you weren't really looking for me. So in terms of any types of specials, I mentioned the emotional intelligence and financial wealth seminar. It's a 2-part series. It's later this month and the first part of next month, as well as just taking on new clients for coaching. So if anyone is in that space where they're thinking, man, I really want to be able to get to that next level, but I feel as if there are some things that are keeping me from doing so. What should I do? Where should I go? How do I even begin? I'd like to talk to those individuals. And, Ray, sometimes we discover I'm not the best fit, but I have a whole slew of fantastic coaches in my network, and I have no issues with getting people connected, because what's important is that there's the appropriate connection and they get what they need. So I'm all about let's get you connected to where you need to be.
That is so awesome. Well, Shatanese, thank you so much for joining me, and looking forward to building this relationship and connecting further with you and learning about how we can work together, and any way I can help you in the future. Definitely feel free to reach out. This has been great. Thank you again.
Thank you. And the same for you, Ray. I look forward to connecting with you again soon.